Good afternoon. I'm going to be instructor for the firing line. So could I have TK55920 come to the front? Thank you, sir. All right. Can you put one round downrange for me, please? All right. Go ahead. Show me what you're doing. Show me how you're gripping the weapon. All right. So you're going to lock this out. You're going to bend your knees a little bit. Not that much. Pivot a little bit. Raise this up. Tilt down a little. All right, go ahead and take that shot and see how that goes. Try that again. Try that again. All right, you're getting a little closer. Next.
Due to the incompetence of the previous trainer, I've been brought in. ODST 1519, step up. Well, no. Who told you to do anything? Fake gun. Get to it. Ben, go again. There you go. Oh, there we go now.
This is how the professionals do it.
Howdy y'all, I hope that you enjoyed that little mini part of the video. It's a little bit of fun that I was able to do during the quarantine session that we've been having with COVID-19. So, on to the main part of the video. First off, we are going to be talking about weapon safety. My topic was about learning how to use firearms. So, safety is the most important part of using a firearm. It doesn't matter what type of firearm you're using, whether it's rifles or pistols, safety is key. So for any of my new firearm enthusiasts or those who are interested in this, there are 4 main pillars that are extremely important to memorize. The first one is to always treat a firearm as if it were loaded at all times. It doesn't matter if you have cleared and safetied your weapon. Make sure that you're not pointing that firearm at anything that you're not willing to shoot and destroy. Next thing is to keep your finger off the trigger. This ensures that you are not going to accidentally pull that trigger. The fourth one is to always ensure to know what is in front of your target and what is behind your target. This is usually with open field ranges. You need to make sure that there is no one that is walking right in front of your line of fire and nothing that is possibly behind your line of or behind your target in your line of fire that you could possibly injure or destroy. While the thought of destroying a target may seem a little bit intimidating, you should not be intimidated at all. As long as you follow these 4 tenets, you will have absolutely no issues while you're on the shooting range. One of the ways that I was able to memorize these tenets was through mnemonics such as the one that I have posted above. Like Mother's fried tomato sandwiches. Always treat the gun as it's loaded. Never point the muzzle at anywhere you're not willing to shoot and destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger. Make sure you're aware of what's surrounding the target and always be handling these weapons safely. Now, a way that you can also remember this mnemonic is by creating a story. So think about it, or the way I think about it is, I like my mother to fry tomatoes in my sandwiches. Again, these are just different ways that you can learn to memorize these small tenets. While there may be other ways for you to memorize these tenets, this is the way that I personally found has been the easiest way for me to learn and memorize things. Definitely mnemonics has helped, songs can help, but in this situation, I haven't personally found a benefit to learning a song for this. Now, it's extremely important for you to have all these 4 tenets memorized prior to stepping foot onto a range. This will ensure your safety, the range safety officer's safety, along with any other fellow shooters who are at the range. Guns that you take on a range, they're not toys. Therefore, they should not be treated as such and treated with respect. So if you have any intentions of going to a range, make sure that you know how to properly handle a weapon In my paper, I had explained the way that I would suggest someone to learn how to use a firearm. As I mentioned before, there are different types of firearms, such as pistols and rifles. However, that also expands out to bolt action, sniper rifles, shotguns, and various other kinds. And in my paper, I explained that learning how to shoot a rifle first would be the best course of action. And the reason that I had explained that was that shooting a rifle enables you to have 3 points of contact. As you can see from the picture, you have the pistol grip where your right or your left hand will grip right by the trigger, and you have another grip that is holding it right by the barrel area, and you're gonna have your buttstock rested into the well of your shoulder. Having these 3 points of contacts ensures that you're able to have stability of the weapon, and it gives the basic fundamentals of shooting. A rifle also typically has a lot more recoil compared to that of a pistol. Therefore, if you're able to manage the recoil of a rifle, switching over to a pistol will be a lot easier of a task. When I first learned how to shoot, I started on pistol training, and that completely messed me up when I went through basic training and we had to qualify with rifles. I had the inability to properly have the proper posture to shoot a rifle. My technique was completely off, and I was unable to make expert on the rifle qualifications. I am also very much for having a mentor teach you how to shoot a firearm. While it is possible to learn by yourself, having someone mentor you and coach you the proper ways to shoot will ensure that bad habits and negative transfer are less likely to happen. So either a parent or an older sibling, or even having NRA firearms classes and NRA certified instructors teach you how to properly use a weapon, that is the best course of action. Now, when I was in basic training, we went to the shooting range every day for 2 weeks. However, that may not be feasible in a civilian situation. So while I would suggest going to the range every single day for about an hour to 2 hours to get comfortable with your weapon, that may not be feasible. A way that you can do it is go to the range once a week to every other week for a couple of hours and focus on the basic fundamentals of shooting. These fundamentals of shootings can be memorized in the acronym BRASS. This is breathing, relax, aim, squeeze the trigger, and squeeze some more for following through. Again, I really are in pushing for mnemonics when it comes to shooting, because when you're in that scenario, you want something that you can memorize on the spot, something that's catchy, and something that can trip your memory. So for breathing, make sure that you're breathing in and out slowly. You need to stay relaxed. If your muscles tense up, your shooting is going to be tense and you're not going to enjoy yourself. When you're aiming down the sight, and you're going to ensure that you are aiming at this target that you're intending to shoot. You're going to squeeze the trigger. So most triggers have a 7-pound to a 12-pound trigger pull. You're going to squeeze the trigger once. You're not going to anticipate for that recoil. You're going to squeeze until you feel the firearm basically jump, and that's when the bullet itself is going to leave the magazine. Watch this video of a professional shooter explain the basics of marksmanship.
The reason for that forward lean is we've got all this recoil that's going to be coming along this axis, all this energy, and so it's going to be coming back at me, and if I'm not leaning forward, I can actually get bumped back. So nice forward lean will make sure keep my whole baseline steady. So for grip, pretty simple. On this pistol grip, going to make sure my finger's off the trigger since I'm not ready to shoot. With my left hand, I can place it up here on the front, in the middle, or up here close to the magazine. But the main idea is with your left hand, you want to be pulling that gun into your shoulder and making sure you have solid contact with the buttstock and your shoulder. Now, here's what's going to happen if you don't have that good contact and if there's a space. When you shoot, you're going to get hit and hit and hit, and you're going to get driven back, and we want to make sure we're staying stable and on target. So I'm going to go ahead and load around. Come on target. Nice bend in the knees. Leaning forward. Left hand pulling into my shoulder. Going to turn my safety off. Now finger on the trigger. Going to do a nice slow squeeze. Break one shot. Finger off the trigger. And safety on.
YouTube is a great resource when it comes to learning information. However, when it comes to information that requires a physical presence, going on a YouTube video and watching shooters like Chris Cheng here, it won't exactly benefit you in knowing how to shoot. You'll have the technical knowledge, but you won't have the practical knowledge. So if you are interested in learning, I would highly suggest you to go to a range near to you. There's only so much that you can learn from the technical knowledge rather than the practical knowledge, especially when it comes to firearms. When you are learning technical knowledge, it has a lot of misconstrued information and makes it seem like it's easier than it really is. While shooting a gun is not exactly the same as performing open heart surgery in an elevator seen in Grey's Anatomy, it's the similar idea. You may be able to watch the TV show and say, oh, I know exactly how to massage the heart, open up the chest cavity, and be able to save a life. That's kind of the same way as watching YouTube videos and shooting a rifle. Once you get to the actual range, you can learn all these fantastic ideas and learn from these YouTube videos. But until you actually step foot onto the range, hold that rifle into your hand, and shoulder that rifle into your shoulder, you're not going to be able to experience the true experience of firing a 5.56 rifle or 2.23 rifle. Aside from learning and memorizing the basic weapon safety, one thing that you'll definitely want to know prior to going to a range as well is how to clear your personal weapon if there were to be a jam. Now, this is something that should be taught prior to going to the range and not being figured out while you're on the range where you have to ask a range safety officer. So the acronym that I learned and I would suggest you to learn is SPORTS. So you're going to slap the magazine upward. You're going to pull that charging handle back. This is for the M4, the M16 model, the charging handle back. You're going to observe and make sure there's nothing lodged in the well. You are going to release that charging handle, and you're going to tap the forward assist, and you're going to pull the trigger. So SPORTS, or squeeze the trigger, my bad. So SPORTS is the acronym that I would suggest you to memorize prior to going to the range. I hope I inspired you to learn a little bit more about rifle shooting and pistol shooting, and inspired you to actually go onto the range once COVID-19 has taken a back burner. If you do have any questions, feel free to link them in the little forum section. I'll be happy to answer anything, and I do hope that you enjoy the video. Have a great one, and we'll see you guys next year.